across the pavement, hoping it'll cave and swallow me whole. Wonder why my mind keeps on spinning. This is how I live into me, what's so.
Them something, but help them get wealthy with you. How can they be involved? And that's where crowdfunding comes in.
Gotcha.
How can they be involved? How can you go to the next level? What do you need to do that? And how can your community help you who they want to help you?
Yeah.
And they want to make money. They love seeing our wins online, but my community loves me because they're going to win with me. They're going to eat with me. When I cash out, they're cashing out. For sure.
All right. So what, I feel like I need to create something outside of those
something.
are amazing jobs. But I'm talking about like, how can I guess I'm asking for some of your IP. You know what I mean? Like what?
What's your number one thing that you're focused on right now?
My number one thing I'm focused on is my morning meetup community, continuing to grow that, and my podcast.
So
I'm building a podcast studio as well.
So it's media.
Yes.
It's a media company.
Yes.
So you start a media company that produces podcasts, shows, a studio. There's the company. That company can then take investors that can create a studio in every major city in America. I mean, what's the big thing? Like,
how do I put tech behind it? Okay, so let me tell you.
So tech behind it, and that's the thing people don't always realize. Tech's already behind it and everything. You're online right now where this is tech. You have a digital platform. I saw your YouTube, milestone. Congratulations. That's tech.
Thank you.
Tech's already in everything. You send out emails. Mm-hmm. Are you remarketing? Yeah. You're using tech. You're a highly tech-enabled business. Do you want to have your own piece of tech? You could always build a platform, a marketplace, find a way to communicate, to really bring that together digitally, but you don't have to, because the equity is in the overall business. Yeah. So you, instead of going out and renting buildings for studios, you buy buildings. Yeah. That's a part of the equity of that company. It's not always about tech. It doesn't have to be about being a tech company. You can raise money. There's many businesses. Coca-Cola is not a tech company, highly tech-enabled company.
Highly tech-enabled company. So yes, I bought the building, and we're actually like doing construction right now.
So what if you're investors? What if you bought 10 and you let your community invest in buying 10? That's
so pretty much just having a vision and a plan
to scale
and letting
bigger than ever.
That's what I think.
A studio in every country in the world.
I think your gift is not like understanding tech, but just how big you think.
That is what was taken away from us as a people, was stripped from us. That is the number one thing. I coach hundreds of entrepreneurs. They don't think big enough. The Black ones don't. They don't. I'll be like, how much money you want to raise? Oh, I just need about $250,000. No, you don't. You need $2.5 million to do this. What you gonna do with $250,000? I can scrap this around. I can get the hookup. I won't pay myself. I'll starve. I'll eat ramen noodles. You think them white dudes is eating ramen noodles and talking about I'm gonna starve? No, they raising $2.5 million. Everybody's getting paid and they cashing out. They're gonna take a couple $100,000 to put in their account right off the rip. We don't think big enough. None of us. Because always it was like telling us we can't achieve. We're Black. We're brown skin. We're whatever limitation they put on us. Then we pass through that. Okay, now we can get credit cards. They didn't give us credit. Now we happy we got credit cards. Now we happy we got real estate. What about being the largest landowner? Like, who are the largest landowners? Nobody Black. Nobody.
Who are you around that got you thinking this way? Because you don't. I think if you're in a small city, you might be in a small city, you dream big, but like there's always like an environment typically. Like what are you seeing?
I mean, a lot of people that are like me, but I think it comes from there's a lot of a community, but for me, it comes from knowing my history. Started when I was very young, 7th grade, studying history, obsessed with history, Black history, African history. And when I realized very young that where I came from, who I am, and like my lineage, and how, up until 1375, Mansa Musa was the wealthiest person on this planet and still is the wealthiest man to ever exist on this planet. And he was a king of Mali. And this was less than 1,000 years ago. When I realized that, I'm like, oh, this is mine. I'm entitled to all of this shit. And I think big because that's how you get past everything that they put in front of us to make us feel like we can't go further than that. Yeah. All the news, like I talked about in another interview, like, they're like, what do you think about the statistics about Black female founders? I don't believe that shit. That's something you tell me so that I'll stop raising money. If you tell me it's a 0% chance I'm gonna raise money, why would I be fired up to do it? I don't believe you. I don't believe any of the statistics. So that's how I think like this. And then I find people like my husband and us two crazy thinking people together, and we just, find our masterminds. And we have to just push each other to think bigger. Like your friend, anyway, your friends, I did this. What's next though? What's bigger? How can everybody come up with with you on this? How can we really create group economics to the point where we're funding all of these businesses, all of each other's businesses, and everybody's funding everybody? How can we do that? How can we grow and take what you're doing and multiply it by 100? How can we do that? And then take what they're doing and multiply. We can do that. We have the power to do that.
And I think it just starts with at least that question of how can I take it to another level?
Yep. And what's needed? How much money? That's it. We don't think big enough.
When you started raising money, you didn't raise money for Flat Out Hills.
I did. I raised money from my friends in Atlanta. I raised about $250,000 to start. I raised money for my very first business from my dad, $10,000 in 2001.
So you always you'll just. I learned you're supposed to do that. I'm thinking you're supposed to just go get the money. That's
other people's money. I learned 2 people taught me this lesson. I learned from Magic Johnson. I was very fortunate to be a mentee of his many years ago.
Really?
And he told me he didn't spend any of his money on things. He goes out and, opens these Fridays and these theaters and all of the things he was doing with other people's money. It's leveraging it. Of course, you put skin in the game, but leveraging, other people's money.
I don't understand that. Can you break this down to me? Because I think if I had the money, I'll just go do it. And then I don't have to answer to anybody. And I don't owe anybody.
You still don't have to answer. No, it depends. It's relative to what you're doing. So at what scale? Because if you're building a, let's say $500 million business, you're not going to be able to fund it all yourself. Or even if you could, you don't want to liquidate your personal assets in that way. If it's something smaller, even 100,000, okay, do it yourself. But if you're talking about a big vision that requires an enterprise, a corporation, then leveraging other people's money is really the way to go, leveraging investments. Now, people seem to confuse answering to someone with getting investors. It's all about how you structure your operating agreement and your share classes to understand who has the control. Control is always dictated in the operating agreements and in the share classes. So if they don't have voting control of your shares, they can say whatever they want. They can't. They have no power. When entrepreneurs lose control is when they give investors or other people voting power, board seats, and rights to control and outvote them, and they lose control. That's the same reason why Mark Zuckerberg is, he's never going to get fired from Facebook. He's never going to go because his shares have so much weight that they can't fire him.
Are the shares and voting control the same thing?
So the shares are like what you own. Like say we have a company, it's 10 shares. I own 5, you own 5. That's shares. But say your 5 have the 100% voting rights. So even though we're 50-50 owners, you still control the company.
Got it.
Because you have the power and the votes. And there's something called super voting rights where it could be, as the founder, you say, okay, I'll let other people vote, but my 1 vote is worth 5 of yours. So you can all vote against me and I'm still gonna be the winner. And that is how smart founders set up their businesses.
Did you have any issues where you did it wrong and you had to...
Absolutely did it wrong.
So give me a story.
I listen, founder fuck ups all day. That's why I'm an OG.
Give me the edited version for kids. Okay.
Sorry. Founder mistakes. Right. Lots of founder mistakes. But no, when I was in tech, I would say founder F-ups. And it would be on Wednesday. So
give me one you remember and it hurt.
The one that hurt, I think that stings, is when I really wanted my first investment money for PopCom. This is 2017. And just getting out there, just excited. People are interested. I didn't know anything yet. I was very green as far as the venture capital game, understanding these term sheets. And this is 2016. And so I got to get money. So people were saying, oh yeah, we can be in our accelerator program. I'm so happy to get an offer that I just basically sign the offer that I get. Like, okay, you're going to give me $35,000 and I can build this out. Okay, 8%. I didn't understand. And even the fact that 8% is so high for $30,000, but the fact that these shares could not...
Who gave you that? Who gave you that?
An accelerator program. $30,000 for 8%. And
what is an accelerator program?
So it's a program that they invest in you to help accelerate your business. There's 2 types of programs, incubator and accelerator. An incubator kind of houses you, grows you incubator, but they don't give you money. Accelerator gives you money, tools, mentors to accelerate. And then hopefully by then you can raise a bigger round or get to the market.
Gotcha.
sapling, you can easily bend the limbs. But when that tree gets deep rooted and grows, if you try to bend the limb, it'll break. And so you're looking at these baby boomers, and the coding and programming is so embedded in them for so many years that it's they've become rooted trees. They've grown and they've got stiff bark, and you can't really bend those limbs. They'll just snap. And a lot of them aren't ready for that information. So you have to just, when I tell people who always ask me, how do I get my family members to wake up, and I said, you just be the light. You just do what you do. Don't put pressure on them. Every now and then you may drop a gentle seed, and that's about it. And just let them look at your life and how you're moving. Eventually they may start to ask some questions. Right. And then you can answer the question and walk away. Don't go too deep again. Just a little bit at baby steps, a little bit at a time. Some of them will come along, some of them may not. Just be happy that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're finding yourself. And then others will also see how you're moving and how you're living through this matrix. And then they will then begin to ask you questions. And some people will jump right on in with you, full blown. Some people will take time. It's a gradual process, but like you say, you can't overdo it.
Everybody's in their own game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
by
right.
Example. Just lead by example. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If it's
right,
like,
and you know them by their fruit.
Yes. Right. Right.
It's like, did we miss that message? Like, people by their fruit, meaning their actions show you who they are.
Exactly.
So that whole I'm woke because you. So here it is. Let's go back. I was about to go full into that, which is okay. You got the information. You got all this knowledge. Neo, when he went, he got into the chair, got the thing plugged into him, and he was sitting there for hours just downloading information, right? And he said, and he told Morpheus, I know Kung Fu. Morpheus said what? Show me.
Right.
Oh, right. You know. Show me.
Exactly.
Right. It's the action that proves it.
So he went in that simulation again, showing me new Kung Fu. And what did Morpheus do? He whipped his ass.
Yep. Beat him down.
He beat him down. He's training him the whole way. Yeah, you learn some information, but you can't apply it.
Until you apply that information, it's not real. It's not in this realm. It doesn't exist. It just exists in your mind.
Yes.
Until you apply it.
Absolutely. That happens to me all the time. People come to